What up, guys? Welcome to Base Damage, and this week finally getting back into doing some deck profiles, and this one was especially fun to test play. It was it's off the BanG Dream set, but it's off of one of the other bands that's in there that's kind of like the senpai for Pop and Party, is the Glitter Green Girls off of Nanana, Hinako, Yuri, and Ri. So it's only 4 of them as opposed to having to have 5 of them with Pop and Party. So the combos are a little bit easier because you don't have to have like all the girls on the field, but it really helps. Only thing is some of the climax combos you have to be at level 3 for. But this mono green, all except for 1 card, which is a little spicy tech. And it took me a while to finally get the level 3s for it to be able to do this, but this deck was really fun. It ended up going undefeated this past Sunday at Locals. It was just really, really fun and nice little change of pace because of how a lot of the effects go off. So kind of fun, really fun to play. Maybe not the most competitive thing in the world because it does have a lot of on-reverse effects, which I'll see as we get into it, but still really, really good, and I enjoyed this. So let's get right into it. So, level 0s. First off is the level 0 Glitter Green Nanana. Something else I should preface this beforehand. There are only 4 rares in this deck. None of the green cards had any double rares, so it's all rare or lower, which is all really awesome and really, really useful to be able to take advantage of as far as like cost efficiency. So, first off, this Nanana has a climax combo with the 1K 1 gold bar R stage. At level 3 or higher, you can, when the climax gets played, you can blind stock 1 and all your characters get 500 power until end of turn. Which is really nice to be able to basically, at level 3, play this and you have like a minimum of 1,500 across the board and then +1 soul. So the extra 500 comes in handy. The blind stock also has a use with one of the other climax combos at level 3. So really good there. Her main ability that you basically, you have to have this card in this deck to make it better. When a card gets placed into your level area, you can pay 1 stock to look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck. If you do, you can grab one of the other Glitter Green Girls, one of the other members of the band, that is in amongst those 4 cards. One of them add to hand, the rest of it goes to the waiting room. So this is essentially the Winter Moment Akatsuki of the deck. And I'll leave a copy of this out to show some other, basically the other cards that combo with this and make this effect go off. So not just when you level this can go off, but also when other effects trigger, you can go, you can use this effect, and it's really good. So 3 of that, 3 copies of this Hinako Nijiki. 2 effects, basically both on play, allow you to pay stock to get back characters. The first one is you can pay 2 stock on play to get back any one of the other girls from the waiting room back to hand. And also on play, you can pay 1 to get back a copy of the level 3 Yuri from the waiting room to hand. And there's a decent bit of stock production with this deck, so you can easily have the extra stock or be able to go, hey, I need to be able to pay out, make certain that I get climaxes out of stock, and this is one of the easier ways to do it, while still getting a whole bunch of hand advantage back, which is really nice. So 3 of her, 4 of this level 0 Hinako. It's a 2K. When she swings, she can give a character 1,000 power and +1 level. So really good to get around reversers, the clock bomb, stop bomb, all that jazz. 3 copies of Gentle Stare Yuri. On reverse of the battle opponent, you can rest one of your characters and send that character to an open position of your backstage. So that's been kind of useful with some of the weaker ones, like especially I've swung with Nana, reversed, and then put Nana back row if I didn't have enough level 0s in hand. So that was really cool. 2 copies of Yuri Ushigome. 2 effects, also on play. You basically can choose the order also, however you want to do it. First effect is on play. You can send the top card of your opponent's stock to their waiting room and then choose a card in their waiting room and put it on top of their stock. So basically it says, hey, put that climax on top of your stock. Done. Is essentially what you're going to want to do with that. Or if you know your opponent has a card that they could change into that doesn't require them paying stock or whatever, it's easier to do it that way. So Also on play, you can discard a card to grab back a green character in your clock, add it to your hand, and then deal yourself a damage from the top of the deck. So really useful for being able to make certain that you get the cards that you need. So that's 3, 6, 10, so 15 level zeros. And we're just going to leave a copy of this Na out because there's other cards at level 1 that immediately work with this. So getting right into the level 1s, which is this is definitely a level 1 heavy deck, but it's kind of necessary. So first off, we have for level 1s is this Yuri that climax combos with the 1k1 gold bag. Definitely a climax I had never used before in this, and I'll mention something about this later on as far as something you have to do with this. But when the gold bag gets placed on the field, this is in center stage, all your other characters get a on reverse blind stock ability. So basically, you know, you have 3 of them. Just the easiest way to explain this. Say if you have 3 of them, just pretend for a second they're 2 different cards. You play the climax. This gives the other 2 the ability that 1, they swing. You trigger, you get a stock. The opponent gets reversed, you blind stock 1 as well. So that's really useful as far as building up extra stock and to be able to play your other effects like the other Hinako or whatever. And then just always having the extra stock is just really useful. Now, if you have multiple copies of this on the field, these do stack. It doesn't give it to itself, but if you have, say, example, 3 on the field, it does stack in the fact of if you do this, these 2 give this a double stack. So you swing, trigger, 1 stock. Reverse, you can blind stock twice. So that was really cool to be able to figure out that I could do that. So 4 copies of her. Then on to more of the level 1s. Just gets into really, really fun territory right here. Because the next one is, once again, Na. I'm going to keep that in mind. 3 copies of Glitter Green Hinako. So this is also one of the backbone cards of the deck. It has a climax combo with our stage. If you're level 3 or higher, when the R stage gets played, choose one of your characters. They get 1,000 power and the ability on reverse of the battle opponent that you can draw a card. So that's really good. The other ability is basically pretend these are in the back row all the time. This is your ideal back row setup, and there's the reason why. Is her last 2 abilities combo with each other. When a card gets put into your level, you can choose one of your characters and give it 2,000 power. Her last ability is an act that lets you tap 2 of your characters to interchange a card with your level with a card in your waiting room. So basically the ideal thing you're able to do every turn if you wanted is tap these 2, give a buff by interchanging a card in your level with your waiting room, and then her effect goes off where you can pay 1 and look it up to 4, add a character. So being able to buff every single turn like that, even if you don't do the mill, is really good. So that's really powerful, and it's whenever a card gets put into your level, the buff can go off. So if you level, if you do this ability, and if you do another backup in the deck, is 4 copies of this level 1 Na. It's 1,000 backup, but when you do the backup, you can also interchange a card in your level with a green card in your waiting room. So once again, this triggers that ability. So you do this, you interchange. This goes off, you can give a character 2,000 power. So it's as if you can give a character 3,000 power for free. Once per turn, because the buff is only a once per turn thing as well. But even then, when you do this backup, you also trigger off the Na effect as well. So you can pay 1, look it up to 4. Say you don't have any more climaxes in the deck, but you don't want 4 damage from the top of your deck to stick. I am perfectly content with giving a 3k backup, paying 1 and milling 4. So, and then getting something off of it. So that I am completely and totally content with that. And this is a very good backup for this deck. It is a mandatory 4 of. And I just personally see it as a mandatory 4 of. So, the next one, and this is one of the better defensive cards in the deck, is this level 1 Re. It's a 0 cost, but it's a 55. Its demerit, no, I have this still up here, is the fact that it can't side attack, but it gets big. Her other ability is once per turn, when a card is put into your level, she gets 1500 power. So, once again, if you level, this goes off. If you do either of these abilities, this goes off. So she becomes a 7k by her own ability. If you do Hinako's effect for this, she gets 15, she's a 7k, and then you can give the 2k to her to make her a 9k offensively. If you use the Nanana on her and do all the buff on her, she's a 10k defensively. Sure, this is only a once per turn thing, but even if you have multiples of these, they all of a sudden, you got 7k walls on the field. Your opponent's going to have a tough time with that, regardless, if you have like 2 of them. Do a 1k backup and the 15 makes her 7k. The other one becomes a 7k. Give the other one like a 2k, and you have like a 7 and a 9k on the field, just like, hey, what's good? So for free, and it's just really, really useful, and I really like the effect. So Nanana's going back over here for right now. And then the lastly for level 1s is 3 copies of this Nanana, which is a level 1 0 cost 65. It's oversized, so its demerit is that when you play it, you have to choose one of your opponent's characters in their center stage, and that character gets plus 1000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So if you hit level 1 first, this is minimal, this is not a problem. Most of the time you're going to be trying to play these, but I wanted a little bit extra pokage at level 1 to be able to, just be able to do some stuff. There was another level 1 that has like a mandatory encore effect if it gets reversed. I didn't care for that because it was like I purposely take damage. So I didn't really care for that one. So this is a level 1. So 4, 8, 12, plus 6 is 18 level 1s. It's a whole bunch, but it's necessary. So perfectly fine to me. Whereas most people kind of go more heavy on the level 0s. I preferred this for the level 1s. Level 2 is really simple. There's only 2 of them. Is a copy of this level 2 Nanana. She's a 2 cost, she's a 2 soul, she's an 8k. When a card is put into your level, once again, all those other cards before trigger this effect, as well as when you level. She gets 500 power for each of your other green characters, so she can get plus 2000 power to become a 10k. That's fucking great. If you do that with the Hinako on field, give her the plus 2k as well, she can become a 12k at level 2. That's amazing. That's just really good. So, and then she has an encore, which is the encore if you just discard a green card. So that's everything from other characters to even green climaxes. And that's really, really nice. Lastly, for level 2 is this little spicy tech of the tie backup. It is a 2500 backup. And when you use the backup, you can, because I did have to double check this effect, you can do this. Just like, basically a ruling on this as well. I'll just go ahead and mention both of these. When you use this card's backup, you can pay 1 stock, and if you do, you can get a copy, a card with her name, with the same name as her, from your waiting room back to your hand. So if you have them, you can cycle them over and over. The cool thing is, when you use a card's backup, part of the cost is sending it to the waiting room. So she's already in the waiting room by the time you would be able to activate the other effect to be able to add a copy of her back to hand. So all you need is 1 copy, pay 2 stock, get it back. Use it again, but get it back. Use it again, repeat process. One of the other things, reason I'm also stating this for the Nanana, because her other effect is to interchange a card in your level within your waiting room. If there's no cards in your waiting room prior to this, she does go to the waiting room and then she can put herself into the level if she's the only card in there. So just kind of wanted to mention that. So it is possible and able to be done. So I had to double check that and ask around. So everyone's told me you can do that. So only those 2 cards for level 2, and we'll try to wrap this up a little quickly. 3 copies of Glitter Green Re. If I get a 4th copy, I would take out this Nanana. And 4 copies of Yuri. Once again, these both climax combo with our stage, but I'll try to go through this quickly. Both have on-play effects. This has on-play draw 2, pitch 1. This has on-play heal 1. Climax combo, when the climax gets played, when the gold bar specifically gets played, she gets clock shoot until end of turn. So if her battle opponent becomes reversed, send it to clock. Really good. Last is an auto ability that states when a climax gets put into your level, she gets plus 2500 power till end of turn. Normally that's seen as a bad thing, but if you purposely use Hinako's effect, put a climax in there, and then defensively use Na, you can put the climax back in your waiting room and there's no problem. So, ain't no problem at that point. She gets 2500 power, and that makes her even bigger, so she's a minimum of a 12k before everything else when you do that, so that's really nice. Yuri's effect is that when the climax gets played, you can pay 1 stock, discard a card, target herself and another one of the members of the band, and they both get 1500 power and an on reverse burn 1. When the battle opponent becomes reversed, burn for 1. Right now she does say Yuri on here, but there is an errata from what I have seen that she can't actually target another Yuri. She has to target one of the other members of the band. That's what I've been told is an errata on this card. So basically this is how it goes. You have a copy of Ree, a copy of Yuri. This is like your ideal setup. I'm just kind of setting this up. And any other character. So you don't have to have these on field, but this is the optimal thing. Before you play the climax, you tap, interchange, give a buff somewhere. Effects go off. It's all good. Then you play the climax. You can activate these in any order, but this is usually how I do it. Skill first, blind stock 1, so you have stock to be able to pay for the Yuri's effect, and then everybody gets 500 power. Hinako, give a buff and the on reverse draw effect. Yuri, pay the cost, give her and another character on reverse burn 1, and then Ree gives herself clock shoot. So if you stack all of that up there, let's just do the math real quick. So if you do the thing, put a climax into your level, she gets 25. She gets 1000. So that's 1300, 13,500. Another buff is plus the 2k is 15,500, is 16,500, plus 15 is 18. If I'm doing that math correctly, that is a plus 18 off of just these, or to 18,000, I'm sorry. So she can get big, and then all of those effects do stack. She, on reverse of the battle opponent, would be able to clock shoot the character, burn your opponent for 1, and then you'd be able to draw a card. To my understanding, that is how that would work, and it's very, very useful. So I very much enjoyed that, and as far as like being able to do all these combos, have them stack, and just really, really fun deck. I definitely had a whole bunch of fun playing this. So 3 copies of Reef, 4 copies of Yuri, and then for the climaxes, 4 copies of the 1k1 gold bar, and 4 copies of the 1k1 gold bag. Also, something that I just wanted to go ahead and state: when you trigger a gold bag, this still goes to your stock, but you have the option of being able to blind stock 1 as well. The timing for that is you trigger, you blind stock first, then this goes on top. So this will be the card on top after everything is said and done. The gold bag would be on top. The blind stock card would be under it. That just wanted to let people know in case anybody didn't know that, the way that worked. But that's it for the deck. Thank you all very much for watching. It's much appreciated. I hope that everyone's enjoyed this. And if anybody wants to play Glitter Green, it's actually a very fun deck. It may not be the most competitive in the world because you do have to worry about a lot of your effects are on reverse. So if your opponent's able to stop the on reverse effects, whether that be through getting characters off the field, moving them, AOT is a big thing for this, or they just don't have characters to begin with. I've had that problem before. It can be an issue, and you wouldn't be able to have your combos go off as much. So that is sad, but it's still not that bad. So please subscribe if you want, and it'd be much appreciated. We will see y'all on the flip side. Peace out for now. I also just kind of want to point out, like, she goes from, like, the nerdy girl with glasses to your son calls me mommy too.